No, okay.
I've got a question for Mr. Zakaria. I'm from NewsHour Dutch TV, Rudy Bauma. Malaysia has been very critical towards evidence against Russia previously. Does Malaysia support the conclusions of the IIT as presented today? And additionally, Mr. Lutsenko, how do you plan to hand over the summons to a suspect who is currently in the DNR?
Yeah, in regard to your questions, Malaysia would like to reiterate our commitment to the JIT in seeking justice and for the victims. And as members, the JIT findings are based on extensive investigations and also legal research. So the objective of JIT is to complete investigations by gathering evidence and witnesses for the purpose of prosecuting the wrongdoers. And Malaysia stands by the rule of law and the due process. So we are with the JIT in regard to the findings.
It was quite hard to hear. Do you support the conclusions?
Support the conclusion. We have not changed our positions.
We will try to arrest this person, and we will make everything we could. And if we would successful, we will organize with Dutch court session, and according to our international agreement between Ukraine and Holland, we will fulfill the court sentence to this person.
The gentleman in the back. Okay, you go first. No problem.
Arjen Schreuder from the NRC.
Schreuder from the NRC. Before you spoke about a group of 100 people that you were investigating, you've also mentioned that this amount of people that the group has shrunk. So how many people are we still talking about, the possible, potentially, the group of people that can be prosecuted? Well, currently we're prosecuting 4 persons. Of course, we are furthermore interested in the crew that operated the box system. Well, we know that they are about 4 people, so this is also a smaller group. And then, of course, then there's an other framework, the responsibility chain. But, of course, it's very difficult to estimate how many people will be found and also how much proof we can find to implicate these people. But, of course, they don't number in the hundreds. So our estimate is that it's a smaller group, but, well, it's very hard to specify that at this time. Peter Klein, RTL News. So that means that you also are investigating towards the Kremlin. I mean, with regards to the tapped conversation that we heard about before. Yes, let it be clear indeed. We want to get a good overview of the chain of command that contributed to the fact that a Buck missile was furnished, and we also want to get more insight into the chain of command so we know who the responsible parties were. Of course, everybody wants to hear about numbers, but we just don't know. If we had the numbers, we would give them to you, but now we try to pick the persons that are the most important ones, and if we know who they are, you will hear from us. The gentleman in the back with the grey T-shirt. I'm from nu.nl. A question to Mr. Westerbeek. How long will this process take? And is it feasible that it will be known exactly? Well, those are 2 separate questions. Let's start with the first one, the length of the process. Those well-known, those are familiar with Dutch law, know that it all depends on the fact whether or not the suspects are present. If they are not, there will be lawyers that will be talking on their behalf. Also depends on the number of investigative questions. So these are all elements that complicate naming a deadline. So we think that it will take at least a year. It could be longer, maybe even shorter, but I don't expect it will be shorter. And the second question, well, is that realistic? Yes, I do think it's realistic, but we already know more than we show you here. And in the beginning, it was already complex, but still realistic. So we think that it's still feasible that we will come up with more suspects and more evidence. I'm Vincent from Zembla. Well, if there's a process that is held in absentia, will there be any lawyers that represent them? Do you already know? Well, that's a difficult question because it's all up to the court. The court will have to decide how they tackle this. The Dutch penal code doesn't really know that mechanism. I mean, you're either there and then you can get the floor, or you're not. And of course, the Dutch legal system already takes a very active part in the weighing of the evidence, in the decision-making about what should be investigated, also has a lot of leeway in the hearing of witnesses, for instance, about the radar, the experts with the radar. I mean, I'm not going to mention names, but I know that they're very well-versed in their field. So we all have to wait and see what the court will decide. And but I think that everything will be done with the utmost care. And that brings us to the final question. Somebody else, perhaps. Who will be the public prosecutors? Well, I have a team of very competent colleagues that will be responsible for this file, so they will get the necessary support. I'm not going to name any names, but there is a group of public prosecutors with the necessary support, and they will be involved in this case.
Australia. First of all, if I could just ask, are you characterizing the Russian government's attitude as deliberately trying to stop the investigation or to thwart the investigation? Secondly, you mentioned that you would protect witnesses, obviously very difficult. Are you offering asylum? And if you are you then, have you discussed the possibility of those people going to other countries such as those on the jet, including Australia?
I'll pick up the first question, and then Wilbert will take the question about possible witnesses. What I was saying is that we now have the information, have the proof that the Russian Federation is involved in this tragedy, in this crime, in one way or the other. And what I said just now is that one day after 17th of July, they could have been in the position to tell us exactly what happened, because they know. I'm sure they know what happened because a book Taylor from the 53rd Brigade has been used, and they know this. And they didn't give us this information, and I wouldn't call this cooperation.
We gaan nu afsluiten. Er is nu ruimte voor 1-op-1 interviews. Oh, second part, sorry.
Second part.
Go ahead.
I shall be short. It's good to know that we spoke with about 300 witnesses until now. Gave small evidence, still very important evidence for us. And what I just said in Dutch, we have all proper arrangements for them. And the ultimum is, and we do that with all the countries together, is a witness protection program. That's possible.
Aan getuigen. Oké.
Nee, maar daar kan ik wel iets over zeggen. Als getuigen tevoorschijn komen en in een getuigenbeschermingsprogramma moeten komen, dan moeten ze ergens in een land worden ondergebracht. En dan gaan ze de preek krijgen. Daar gaan wij geen feitelijke informatie over geven.
Waarom niet?
Nou, omdat dat getuigenbeschermingsprogramma's zijn en daar vertellen we eigenlijk nooit wat over.
Dat biedt toch naar potentiële getuigen vertrouwen als u daar wel iets over zegt?
Nou, wij zeggen tegen potentiële getuigen dat als het nodig is, dat we dat doen. En die zekerheid kunnen wij geven. Het is geregeld met meerdere landen. Dus die zekerheid is er echt als het zover komt. Maar alles wat we erover zeggen, kan veiligheid van getuigen in gevaar brengen. En dat doen we nooit.
Dan gaan we nu afsluiten.
So we'd like to conclude. There is some room for one-on-one interviews. We will do that with the people on stage somewhere in the room, but we will.
Dank u wel voor uw komst. Thank you very much for being here.
Close this conversation, this meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here.